What's going on, you guys? And thank you so much for tuning in for an episode of The Mortgage Mindset. Hey, real quick, I just want to remind you that we do not run any advertising on this show, and we are looking to grow it organically. So we cannot do that without your support. So if you find value in the show, if you got some information that you found really useful, please share the show, send it to somebody that you think might find some value in it as well. So without further ado, let's get to it.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Mortgage Mindset. I'm your host, Trevor Otsuka. I'm a multiple state licensed mortgage advisor with Harmony Home Loans in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm also the CEO and founder of Keyframe Media out of Vegas. And today I've got an extra special guest for you. He's becoming a very good friend of mine. He is a real estate phenom in Las Vegas, and you guys probably have seen some of his content across his platforms for Instagram, for TikTok, and now he is aggressively trying to grow on YouTube. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to my very good friend, Mr. Chris Brown.
Thank you.
How you doing, buddy?
Thank you. I appreciate that, Trevor.
Yeah, it's nice to have you, man.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a little bit, getting you in here. You know that I launched the show, so I appreciate your support and being willing to come in and have a conversation with me.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Happy to drop whatever gems that I might have.
Oh, I'm sure you got some golden goodies.
Just be in the moment.
Yeah. So I want to start off talking a little bit about the bread and butter, which is really social media. A lot of agents that I talk to, not even just agents, but loan officers, people that are entitled, people in general that just have a business, they seem to hit a wall when it comes to social media. How did you end up getting to where you're at now on your social platforms, and kind of what was that journey like for you?
For me, I've always been on social media, but the level of execution that I have on it now is on a completely different level than when I was just leisurely on it as a consumer.
Yeah.
Because when you make the commitment to do a business and have it primarily social media, you have to make sure that you're looking at it not from a consumer. You want to be the one who's giving out the content, not the one consuming it.
Right.
So when I thought of, okay, so how can I build a real estate business off of social media? Okay, so take away from being a consumer of real estate content. I need to be the one putting out the information that people need to hear, the homes that people want to see, the updates that people want to know, all those different things. I thought that the best avenue for me was to do it 100% video. I rarely post photos on Instagram.
Right.
And I usually only post them on my story. And the reason why is photos have a much smaller pool than a video. A video, I can post a video on the Reels, and when you look at the insights, you'll have non-followers who viewed the video, then you have people who actually follow you. So it really just helps enhance the audience that you're putting out your content to when you're using video, because photos, people aren't coming to your page to necessarily see. The only ones who are going to like the photos are people who already follow you. But the people who already follow me aren't the prospects that I'm looking for. Because once I already capture you on my page, I've already done my job, half of it. Because if you break down social media, when someone sees a video on a Reels, for example, if I see a Reel on Instagram and I'm scrolling and I see Trevor's Reel and I go to your page, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at your bio. Who is this person?
Who even are you?
Who are you?
Yeah.
Because like you have a lot of photo-less pages and you have bio-less pages. So what you want to do is when you are trying to make sure that you're gravitating consumers to your page, the bio is key. The first thing they're going to do is what's your name and what do you do? And you have to be strategic with how you do the bio, because you only have a certain amount of characters in the bio, as well as a certain amount of sentences that you can write before you have to hit that more button on the bio. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like if someone has a very long bio, you have to hit more on Instagram to see the rest of their bio.
Correct, yeah.
So you only want to make sure that you have the minimum amount of lines before they have to hit more, because people are lazy. And once I have to hit more, that's one extra step that I have to take in order to see who you are. So optimizing that bio means making sure that you only have those 3 lines, because I don't want anyone to have to click anything else. I want them to know who I am, what I do, and how I can help them. And then some type of call to action. Like for me, mine's is watch my YouTube channel.
And then does that link directly to your YouTube page?
It goes straight to, well, mine, it goes to a LinkTree. because I have my TikTok on my LinkTree. I have my YouTube on my LinkTree, and then I have my Amazon storefront.
For Kofi.
Yeah, I got a couple things on there. But you just want to make sure that the bio captures that person, because going back to what I said, once I go to your page and I figure out who you are, what do you do, then I'm going to scroll.
Yeah.
I'm not going to your page and immediately going to start scrolling.
I do the same thing. Like if I get a message in my inbox, the first thing I'm doing is going to that person's page, see who they are.
Who are you?
Yeah. If you have no photo, if you have nobody that's following you and no posts,
I'm not going to give you any time.
Correct.
So again, once I see the bio and I'm like, okay, so this is a real estate person. He's in Las Vegas. He helps with this type of homes. Okay, let me start scrolling. And then when they start scrolling, they see all my other videos. And then you start having people go down that rabbit hole, because the bio is essentially you making a promise to your audience. This is what you're going to get on this page. You're going to get real estate. You're going to get food. You're going to get X, Y, Z. If you post things that aren't in your bio, you already lost me as a follower, because I came to your page for a specific reason.
Yep.
So if I'm endlessly scrolling and I saw a beautiful home and I go to your page and you're showing trucks, I didn't come to this page for trucks. I came to look at beautiful homes.
Right.
So you want to make sure that your bio tells people exactly who you are and what you do, so that when they start scrolling, they see exactly what your bio is saying that you are. Your videos and photos, if you do post photos, should reflect your bio on what exactly who you are and what you do.
Your brand.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how's your brand been developing so far?
The brand has been developing very fast.
Yeah.
Because I started out doing more so lifestyle here in Las Vegas, food.
I love those posts,
entertainment.
Man. Those are super cool.
I started off doing those because it was during the pandemic when everyone was locked up. No one really knew what to go. I think Vegas blew up during the pandemic more than people already knew Vegas for, because during the pandemic, people were so bored. They were literally going restaurant to restaurant, activity to activity. And people were seeing it on TikTok. TikTok was very young during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now people have seen all these different things that you can do in Vegas, and it's just bringing more visitors here as well as people who want to live here, because you're showing them, okay, Vegas is not that old desert, wild, wild west town that I thought it might be. Like, it is actually a community. There's a lifestyle here, and there's actually people that I would probably find a liking to.
Right. Do you find that that's the case for a lot of your clients that you end up helping relocate here from other states?
I think a lot of my clients, some of them have found me from my content as far as like food, blogging, vlogging, and other things like that. But then once I capture them, because again, they're going to come to my profile. If they wanted to see food, there's plenty of food on my page.
Yep.
So I'm still delivering my promise on what I told them when they came to my page that they were going to get. So they start off as a food enthusiast or a lifestyle enthusiast, and then I drop real estate bombs on them all the time. Now they're like, wait a minute, I actually want to buy a house, or actually I want to sell my house, but he's been popping up on all these other things, but now I see that this is what he actually does. Maybe I should give him a call or shoot him a DM or text and see if we can talk about what my situation might look like.
Yeah. So let's rewind the clock a little bit, right? We're talking about present day right now. Let's back it up. When did you actually relocate here to Las Vegas, and where did you move from?
I relocated to Las Vegas in 2019.
Okay.
It was in May of 2019. I relocated here from Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
I lived out there
Coast to
for
coast.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
I drove. Well, my dad drove, but I was in the car. But we drove from California to Florida when I initially moved out there. And then when I moved back to the West Coast, we drove from Florida all the way to Vegas.
You're originally from LA?
Originally from Los Angeles, but I did my undergraduate degree in public relations at Sacramento State up north.
Very good.
And then I went to graduate school in the Bay Area in San Francisco at University of San Francisco, and I got a master's in sport management. So being an athlete growing up, I wanted to work in sports, and that's why I pursued the sports degree.
The view, is that always the mission? Like, I'm going to be in sports in some capacity?
Yeah, because everyone grows up and they have hoop dreams of going to the league. But when you don't make it to the league, you have to figure out what you want to do.
Right.
So once my playing career ended and I stopped running track as well, I figured, okay, I'm still very passionate about sports. How can I still be involved in sports in any kind of way? So what I would do is I went ahead and I started applying to different grad schools, and I ended up getting to the one in San Francisco where it was a degree in sport management. It helped me get a opportunity working with the Golden State Warriors, where I was doing public relations. I was on the media side there, and then I also worked for the Orlando Magic when I was in Orlando.
For real?
Yeah. So I worked for the Warriors. I worked for the Magic. I worked at Cal at one point. I worked at Stanford at one point. I worked at University of San Francisco at one point. I worked for the PGA Tour. I did a ton of stuff in sports, and then Central Florida, and that's where I was really working in Orlando.
How many years were you in that field?
Almost like 8 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 33.
Okay. When did you finish your graduate school for your master's?
2016.
Okay. Man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So you're there and you're doing sports management. You're in the Orlando area. How did you end up actually moving to Vegas?
So when I was working in Orlando at the University of Central Florida, I was a project manager. So I basically oversaw all the different projects that are going on in the athletic department. So if a new building was getting built, I was the one coordinating the contractors when they're building from dirt all the way up to the finished product. I was the one who was coordinate football game days. Refs got to report to me, the players, the coaches, everyone. I was like an event coordinator for sports for the athletic department. So I helped with every sport: basketball, soccer, track, football. And on that side, that's what I was doing for 3 years. And then I was working one day, and there was a guy by the name of Mike Waddell.
Okay.
Mike Waddell came because there was a new pro football league that was coming to Orlando, and they were looking for venues where they were going to play their home football games.
What was the league called?
Alliance of American Football. Y'all probably have heard of it. It's called AAF. You can look it up.
AAF. Okay.
It was a different opportunity. When Mike came looking for the venues, I was the one who was helping show him, okay, if you guys you choose this as a venue, this is where the locker room is going to be. This is where the VIP area is going to be, so that he can kind of get an idea of what was being presented to him for his eventual home games if they were there.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he was like, we are looking to hire a director of operations over here, a director of stadium operations. And he was like, how much do you make? And I'm like, I told him. And he was like, we'll pay you 20 grand more than what they're paying you here. Young, broke, trying to make my way in the sports world. Immediately, I was like, 20 grand more? I took a pay cut to get here. Absolutely.
Right.
So I put in my...
so now you felt like you're clawing your way back, right?
I put in my resignation. I was like, guys, sorry, they're paying me a little bit more, and I get to still live in Orlando.
Right.
So when that happened, I ended up taking that job. And the cool thing about what happened when I took that job, when we played our home football games, we were playing at the same stadium that I just left. So I was very familiar with it.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what was going on in that stadium. So it was a very easy transition. I was essentially doing the same thing, but more money with a different organization.
Did the university try to keep you?
They did, but money talks. They, in college sports, what people don't know, it's so cool to work in college sports, but they don't pay. College sports does not pay, especially on the side of the people who make the biggest difference, the facilities guys. The people who make the big bucks are like the people who are fundraisers, who are in development and getting all the donors to donate money to the programs. Those are the guys who make the big bucks. But the ones who really impact and make a difference don't really get paid that much. On a facility side, if you think about it, without a facility, you have no games. So that person is pretty important. In college sports, they don't look at it that way. They don't really take care of those people. And that was something that I wasn't a fan of when I was in the business, because you're the one who's up at the stadium at 3 a.m.
Right.
You're the one who's the last one leaving at 1 a.m. the next day, but you're not getting compensated for it all the time.
Right.
So it's a little challenging, but when I took that job, I knew that I was going back to something I was very familiar with, so it was very comfortable. But that all changed in like 5 months. It was very short-lived. It was
not even 6 months?
Nah, I didn't make it 6 months.
Okay, what happened?
So the Alliance of American Football, Startup Football League, which supposedly had this guy, Charlie Ebersol. I don't care if I butchered his name. I don't like the guy. But he sold a dream and didn't deliver. So he started this football league, gathered all these different personnel, players, coaches. We had Hall of Fame, like Troy Polamalu was a part of this. Hines Ward was a part of it. Who else was a part of this? Steve Spurrier, the old Florida head football coach, was a part of this. So many different people. Mike Singletary, like I can name like Trent Richardson, like he was one of the players. It was so many big marquee names that was involved. So you thought it was legit and you thought it was real because these high level people aren't putting their names on the line.
They're not going to get involved for nothing.
No.
Yeah.
But this guy Charlie Ebersol sold this dream that we were going to have this spring football league that was going to serve as a developmental football league to bridge that gap between the NFL and like a development league. Because if you think about it, every major sports organization, they all have a development league. Like NBA has a G League, soccer, baseball, you have the minor leagues. There's all these different development leagues that are connected. So that's what the whole idea of the Alliance of American Football was. But it slowly started to change very quickly when we started running out of money. We got this guy, Tom Dungan. I think he's the owner of the hockey team in Florida.
Okay. The Florida Panthers?
Yes, he's Tim Dungan. He came in and invested $250 million into the football league on like for the lack of a story. Like let's say that happened on a Monday. By Friday, everyone had lost their jobs.
What?
Bro, it was crazy. And the league didn't tell everyone that it was over. We've all found out literally on Twitter.
Really?
Swear to you, it was on Twitter. Man. We were sitting, I'm in my office, and we're getting ready for a football game that week. And I'm doing all my tasks and my duties and everything like that. And, of course, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all these things. And I get an update. Alliance of American Football suspends operations immediately. That's what the headline read. And it was like a very prominent sports journalist that tweeted it. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Like, I'm at work right now. Like this is
I'm in the office.
Like I'm in the office and I didn't see no email.
There's no signs anywhere.
There's
I didn't
no
get
signs.
emails.
There's no group chat messages. So I walk out of my office and I start talking to some of my team members and I was like, hey, did anybody see this? And everyone was like, yeah. And it was just a whole cluster of people and chaos. And
so how did you get the official confirmation that it was legit?
So that tweet went out at like 11 a.m. We got an email from the organization at like 5 p.m. They emailed us at like 5 p.m. after we've all seen it on Twitter.
So 6 hours later?
6 hours later. And there was no severance package given. Everyone was told to leave all their computers, leave all their equipment, cameras, MacBooks, everything. And they told us, go home.
Damn.
So for me, at that particular time, I was waiting to see, because once stuff started getting fishy, I was like, let me wait and see, because I had an apartment at the time, and it was about time for me to renew my lease. But it was renew time, and it was getting fishy at work. So I was like, wait a minute, I'm
not going to lock myself into another year lease. Let me see what's going to happen.
Let me see what happens. And
Correct.
So everything, went to crumbles with work.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I didn't lock myself into like another year for the lease, but at the same time, I had nowhere to live at that moment because I was playing that very fine line of waiting. And then once everything crumbled, I didn't have anything lined up. So what happened after that, I shed my tears because that was a very traumatic thing for me to like be in Orlando, Florida, away from every single person, family, friend that I know on the West Coast. And I just lost my job and lost my apartment.
Yeah.
So, the first person I called was my dad. And I was like, Dad, I don't know what to do.
What'd Pop say?
He let me vent. And then after I got done venting, we started game planning. Because
I love that.
That's how my dad has raised me. Like, it's okay to be in a funk or be in a bad situation.
Yeah.
But you have to game plan right after you're done getting out of your funk. You can't, like, sit and dwell on it. Because you're losing valuable time. And
Correct.
At that moment, my dad was like, all right, nothing is going to change. The job is gone. The house is gone. What's next? So there was a guy by the name of Eric Wood that I reached out to back at University of Central Florida where I was working at. I would consider him one of my good mentors. And when I was working for the school, I reached out to him and told him what happened. And the funny thing was when I told him I was about to take the job, he encouraged me to do it because he saw the money. He was like, Chris, it's a no-brainer. As your mentor, I'm telling you, that's a no-brainer. So when it all folded, he came back and we were talking. He was like, man, this is terrible.
Yeah.
He was like, and then he was like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know, told him about the apartment situation. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to go talk to my wife and I'm going to see if you could stay in our back house until you figure out what you got going on. He texted me later that night. He was like, wifey said it's okay. They had a back house where I had my own room, own bathroom, access to the backyard. And they let me stay there for almost a month. Didn't charge me rent, didn't charge me anything. They just opened the door up. They had 3 little children, 3 girls and a boy.
I take it you're still super close with him?
Still super close with him. He's the athletic director now at Louisiana Tech.
Wow.
So he moved up in the college sports rank. So he's now an athletic director at Louisiana Tech. But I just was so grateful for him having the generosity to ask his wife, can I stay there? So when I stayed there, they were very welcoming. They, it was family dinner nights. I was a part of the family. So they didn't treat me different. They knew my situation. They trusted me around their kids. And it made me feel good. But after, spending time at the pool and just kind of getting my thoughts together, I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? My best friend, who at the time lived in Las Vegas, and when he heard about the news and everything, he called me. He was like, I don't know how I could really help you, but I have a couch out here in Las Vegas. If you want it, it's all yours. And pride stepped in at that moment when we had that initial conversation. I was like, nah, I'll figure it out. I'll see what I'll do. I'm staying at, Eric Wood's house, and the month goes by, and I'm like, you know what? I want to go back to the West Coast, but I don't want to go to LA because it's very expensive. And right now I don't have a job. So what's next?
Right.
I said, I'm going to go take that couch. So I called my best friend back like a couple weeks later, and I was like, hey, you still got that couch? He was like, yeah. So I literally packed up all my stuff. And it was crazy too, because I had a solo vacation booked to the Dominican Republic, and I had to cancel it. And they ended up giving me a flight voucher. I used that flight voucher to fly my dad to Florida to help me pack up and move.
Wow, Pops is the real MVP.
Yeah,
huh?
Pops came in, and I flew him to Florida.
Because he drove you out there.
Yep.
Then flew out there, drove you back.
Helped me load up the truck.
Man.
And then we drove to Vegas, and I slept on my best friend's couch for almost a year. And it wasn't just me. He was just moving in with his now wife. So he was on fiance status. So it was him, his wife, and then his little sister. And then it was me. So it was all 4 of us in a single bedroom, single bathroom townhouse in Vegas.
Wow.
It was all 4 of us in there. So 2 women, 2 guys, all got to get up for school, work, whatever you want to call it. So it was hard because it was 1 bathroom.
Right.
But for me, I knew the best way for me to win, I got to get up before everybody. I can't be waiting to get in the bathroom and, brush my teeth.
So what time did you start waking up in the morning?
I was up at like 3, 4 in the morning trying to beat everybody to the bathroom, sleeping on the couch. And then when I first came to Vegas, I knew that I wanted to get in real estate because it's always been on my mind. Like literally for years, I've always thought like, man, I'll be really good at real estate. But, you got to have money to start that type of business. You got to take the tests and all the different things. And then when I moved to Vegas, I thought now is the best time for me to do it. Like I had a little bit of money that I had saved up. I said, okay, I'm going to save up, take the courses, take the classes. I literally had nothing else out here. And I ended up taking the test.
Do you think, sorry to interrupt you, do you think that was a benefit for you at the time because you didn't have any distractions, right? You didn't have people that wanted to go out and party with you all the time. You could just focus on learning what you needed to learn?
Man, I definitely would say I was probably depressed at the time, but I knew what I was trying to do because I knew that I wanted to be in real estate. So I was at UNLV day in and day out in the library studying. Every single day I was at UNLV. I'd drive, and then because, funds was tight, I wasn't trying to pay for parking, so I would park far as heck from the library, and I'd walk all the way to the library. And I was doing
We're explicitly rated. You can cuss. It's cool.
Okay. Yeah. I was far as hell from the library, man. And I had to walk, and I would literally just go study. And I was like, because the test is $100. For those of you who don't know, to get your real estate license, inflation is probably more now. But when I took it, it was $100.
And how much was the course for like your education stuff?
I can't remember. It was a few $100s. Okay. That was a few $100s.
So you're like a $400 to $500 investment right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And I knew, because every time you don't pass a test, you got to take it again, and you got to pay $100 again. So I knew I'm not paying $100 more than once. I probably only had $100 for the one test.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, there's no way that I can afford to not pass. So when I tell you I was studying, like my brain was fried when it came to taking that test.
Did you study harder for that real estate exam than you did for any of your exams that you were taking when you were in college?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because college, man, to be honest, a C student is the same as an A student. Your degree is the same piece of paper.
Yep.
I'm not saying don't strive to get good grades and everything like that, but at the same time, if you get a C and another person gets an A++, you guys still walking across the same stage with the same paper. Yep. It still says a degree in whatever you guys pass.
Yep.
So for me, I wasn't really like, because I had fun in college. I was in fraternity. I threw a lot of parties. I had a good time. But at the same time, while I was in college, I wasn't really thinking that I was going to be a business owner one day. Honestly, like when I finished graduating college, I thought I was going to go work. I thought I was going to go work for the rest of my life and at like a regular job type work, not go start your own business type of work.
Right.
And once I got my real estate license, I saw value in all the sacrifices that I had made to get to Vegas. And then shortly after I got my license, a few months later, I ended up buying my own house shortly after I got my license. And that for me, that was like,
what year did you get licensed?
2019. So I moved out here in May. I had my license by June.
My man, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was not playing.
Playing no games.
I was not playing. I had no money. I had nothing else.
Where was your first brokerage that you ended up hanging up your license at?
Wardley Real Estate. And the reason why I had it there was because the school that I did my schooling through, they hosted it. Wardley was a part of that. So it was, I guess I got recruited out of the class, but that's how I was able to quickly get into the business. Once I finished school, it was like, oh, so Wardley is the one who organizes this. Let me go ahead and just hang my license there. But I only stayed at Wardley maybe about a year.
Your team lead over there, was that Alberto?
So Alberto he wasn't my team lead, but Alberto was doing very well for that office. We worked out of the same office, and he was like top guy in the office.
Yep.
And I connected with Alberto there because when you getting into a new business, why not learn from the guys who are doing very well?
Yeah, why wouldn't you not try to pick some nuggets from the top dog in the office?
That's how I initially met Alberto.
Yeah.
And then I left, and then he left and went to Simply. But when I left, I went to Berkshire Hathaway because I joined a team.
Got it.
And I was on a team for about 8 months. Wasn't really feeling the team. And
this is just the dynamic of it. You knew that you always wanted to be solo.
Well, I was on a team, it was like 5 of us, a couple guys and a couple girls. And we were at Berkshire Hathaway, and then the team leader who I was up under, he took our entire team and moved us to EXP because EXP is really built for teams. Like if you have a team, EXP is the best brokerage for you to go to. And when he moved us to EXP, we were there for like 6 months or so. And everything was okay, but then we started deepening our business relationship. And at the time when we started deepening that business relationship, I didn't agree with all the moves that he was making.
Understood.
So I had to separate because I wasn't in agreeing with that, and it was a lot that I didn't want to do anymore. So I said, you know what? I reached back in my phone, called Alberto.
Yep.
Alberto, where are you at right now? Oh, I'm at Simply Vegas. Can you set up an interview for me? Go set up the interview, and I asked, splits and all those different things like that. And once I got to Simply Vegas, they have a production studio where you can shoot your YouTube, your short form content.
Yeah.
Once I walked in the studio, I was like,
that's it. That's all I needed to see.
Because I'm doing social media so heavily, why not go to a brokerage where I have a fully functional studio, 3 camera setup, all the lights, the setup, everything that I need was there. I was like, Simply makes the most sense. Nobody can give me this.
Yep.
So that's where I ended up going.
It's amazing to me how many agents sleep on the resources that they have at their brokerages. It's crazy.
That's really if you're an agent that's trying to get into the business, look at the resources that the brokerage is offering.
Yeah.
Are they taking like 50% splits on your commission? Are they providing you with a CRM? Are they providing you with some type of lead generating source? What are they giving you? Because at the end of the day, you're paying money to be a part of their brokerage. So what are you getting out of it? And that's where I saw Simply. I was like, well, yeah, $100 desk fee, not worried about that. That $100 is taking care of the studio stuff that I'm taking. That's for free. I would have to go rent that for hundreds of dollars
Yeah, most studio sessions that you're going to do at a production studio, they're charging like $250 an hour for you to rent that space.
No,
No.
Absolutely not.
So that's a great resource that they have.
Right. Like all my YouTube videos that are done in studio, the one outside of the ones that are like community focused, they're all shot at Simply Vegas.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like John Gafford's studio over there.
Yeah.
It's a good setup. And then you have Stuart Samuels,
Yep.
who's right across the hallway in their media office. And that man is a
Genius.
video production guru.
Genius.
That guy. Any question you have, and you can tell how like excited and passionate he gets about videography and like helping you in the studio. So I got a lot of respect for them over there. They're awesome.
Stu's good.
So
But yeah, man.
dang, man, what a story.
Yeah.
So you call up Alberto. He got you set up with an interview. I assume you went in an interview with Mendoza, right?
Yep.
You pull the trigger. You end up going over there. And then how has that road been for you up to now? You've been there for a couple years now, right?
I've been at Simply for about a year and some change now.
Almost 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay. How was it?
It's been great. It's been great because Simply is that type of brokerage that does a very high amount of volume, like brokerage wide, with all their different agents. Some very talented agents at Simply, and you can learn a lot from the people who do numbers over there. But at the same time, if you just want to build your brand, your business, Simply will let you do that, and they will not interfere. They will let you do your thing, and that's what I personally like the most, is because a lot of people in the real estate business, they want to coach the same thing that's been coached for years and years at a time, but they're not really that focused or knowledgeable about the new way of doing things,
Like
with
forward
video,
thinking.
with video and social media and content. Like, can you sell homes door knocking? Yes. Can you sell homes doing open houses? Yes. Can you sell homes doing cold calls? Yes. But at the same time, if you don't want to do any of that and you still want to be in real estate, Simply will make sure that you can have access to every resource and tool that they have in their arsenal, but they'll let you do it your way. And that's what I like. I have my broker telling me like, hey, Chris, this is how you have to sell real estate if you want to be here. They let me do my thing. Like, as long as I'm selling houses and I'm making everybody money, we good.
So what's next? What's coming up? I know you started this YouTube venture. How long are you in that so far?
YouTube, it'll be a year in January.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Closing in on 1 year, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Everyone that I talk to that really goes 100% all in on YouTube, they say that they saw the greatest shift in that YouTube, what it was producing for them for their businesses, right at that 1 year mark, after they went in hard for 1 full year. So
because really with YouTube, to get consistent leads out of it, you have to commit a minimum of a year. A minimum of a year. If you're trying to make money on YouTube and do that in like 6 months, it's not going to happen.
Tell the audience that again.
If you're trying to make money on YouTube, it's not going to happen in 6 months. You have to minimum commit to a year. And if you do commit to YouTube, get a strategist, get a team. Do not do all of that work yourself, because you're taking away time that you could be prospecting for other clients. You should not be editing a video for 6 hours. You should not be trying to find an audio track for a video. That is something that you should outsource if you're going to take YouTube seriously, because YouTube is a way to prospect and get time back, because the time that you put into YouTube, you get it back through watch hours. And that's going to continue to prospect for you over time without you even having to do anything to that video. It's just going to run.
And it lives forever.
It lives forever.
Yep.
My first video on YouTube has over 20,000 views.
Already?
Yes.
Congratulations, bro.
My very first video.
What was the topic?
My story of moving from Orlando to Las Vegas.
What
I
we just talked
shared with
about.
you guys.
Yeah.
20,000 people cared about that story.
Because they can relate to it. It's relatable.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why, too, you know, to piggyback on the social media content, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this format right here, which is podcasts. I mean, imagine that you have your own podcast show, what you can do for inviting other people to share in that experience with you by being your guest. And then, you know, in the post edit, I'm going to cut some reels out of this that are segments from what you were talking about with your story or the highlights that you were making in your social media, and then deliver those to you after the interview's over to say, hey, thank you so much for sharing with me your time and coming and being a guest on the show so that you can give value. So, I mean, you can build some powerful relationships through the power of this setup, this format, through podcasting. And then the long form, I mean, we can break that down depending on who your guest is, what you're talking about, how interesting it is. Man, on a 30-minute segment, we could probably get like 10 reels out of that. So you got one piece of long form content that you could send over to your YouTube production team. They can add in the music, they can do all the edits, add in the lower thirds. Boom, that's going up on your YouTube long form. And then they pull 10 reels out of it. You've got content for a few weeks, you know, and if you're doing a one show a week, come on, man, like you can produce a ton of content just from that.
100%, because people got to remember that when you're selling real estate, yes, you're selling a house. That's the product, but you're really selling yourself.
Correct.
Like that's the product that people, they got to be in love with you before they're in love with the house.
I agree.
And like a lot of people don't understand that when you're on social media, you're showing people who you are. Why would I want to work with Chris? Why would I want to work with Trevor? If people go to my page, they know exactly what I'm about. They know exactly what I'm about, so they can engage with my content knowing who I am. Like I've met people who become clients, and when we finally get to the closing table, they're like, man, I felt like I knew you before we even started working together. Mm-hmm. And that's the power of social media. People get comfortable showing up to your page, and you have your regulars. There's people who will watch your content every single time you post, every single time.
Day one fans.
Day one fans. You have those, and those are your biggest supporters who are going to tell their friends and family about, because their friends or family might be the ones who want to buy a house, not them. So you still want to bridge that, what is it, the 6 degrees of separation? You want to make sure that you always have that. And when you're talking to your audience, you're the product. You're selling yourself. Like people, I hate it when I see agents posting these regular photos that they get from the brokers with these market updates, or just these chinky little, they're just terrible. These like infographics.
Low quality infographics.
People don't care about none of that.
I see a lot of agents that be posting, you know, when they do like a weekly or a monthly market update, and it's like you're talking about, it looks like a Canva graphic that was created, but there's no personality to it. It doesn't show them. It just shows numbers in regards to what is currently happening in the housing market. And the percentage of people that are in your audience that really find those metrics interesting is very small. You know, they don't really give a shit about it.
Because you got so many different types of personality types. You have the analytical data people.
Yeah.
You have the power people, like alphas. You have the peace people who are very monotone, and they're timid. They're always thinking of emotions first. You have all these different personality types. The amount of people who are data and analytical are much smaller than all the other different personality types. So why are you putting out content on your social media to a smaller audience?
Yeah.
That would be the question. Because if you really think about it, how many people are that more analytical about numbers? Not that very many people.
Yeah.
There's a certain type of person who really cares about numbers. So if you're only posting numbers, the person who is like an alpha, they straight to the point, straight shooter. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to buy a house. Tell me what A, B, C, and D is.
Correct.
Don't tell me A, A1, A2, then B. No, just tell me how to get to the finish line. Like a lot of times I see agents posting these infographics, and it's like, if you do want to give that information, take that infographic away and you get on camera and say that exact same information where someone can understand it.
Yep.
Because if I'm looking at an infographic as a consumer, median days on market and all these different terminologies that lenders and agents know, as a regular Joe Blow consumer, I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
Yep.
So if you can take that away and still give me that same information, but you're the one telling me, you just establish credibility where I'm going to trust you, because now I know what median days on market means. You know what I mean? Like, all those different things matter when you're thinking about your consumer and your client. You got to make sure that you're talking to that person.
A regular person.
Yes. You're not talking to another agent, guys.
Yeah.
I hope other agents hear this. You're not talking to agents on social media. You're talking to clients.
Correct. I love that. So goals for the rest of this year, and then moving into 2024, and then we'll move into the next segment.
Goals for this year, I'm trying to get a couple more closings before we close this year out, because a lot of agents go to sleep this time of year.
It's the same on the mortgage side, I promise you.
A lot of people go to sleep this time of year, and I'm trying to be the one who gets a couple more in before this year closes out. YouTube to close the year out. My team, they actually sent me the rest of my videos for the rest of the year so that I can get ahead going into the holidays.
So when you say your team, you're talking about like your YouTube strategy team?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they give you the content ideas depending on what is the most trending through SEO optimization on YouTube, send that over to you, and then is it you that is creating the scripting for that?
So what happens is we meet monthly. We go over data analytics, like, hey, this video is doing these numbers. This is what the numbers mean. So they break everything down for me. And then they give me my upcoming video titles.
Nice.
So they'll tell me, like, okay, for this month's videos, we want you to go shoot this. And they give me a template, like a template outline. And then I take that template outline and then I just fill in the blanks, essentially, and do like the research that I need to do to give the right information that I want to give. And then I go and produce the video.
So you are filming the video yourself, correct?
All my YouTube videos are done on an iPhone.
Nice. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's all done on an iPhone.
Everybody thinks you need all this production equipment.
For what? Because if you do all this high quality production equipment, it's great. It looks crispy. It looks great. But at the same time, it doesn't take away from the information.
Correct.
People care about the information, not if this is 8K or not. Like, no one cares.
Yeah.
And the iPhone shoots pretty good.
It does, especially the new ones.
Yeah. I shoot it on the iPhone 15.
Yep. Those cameras are amazing.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story. We're definitely going to have you back to talk a little bit more about that throughout the year, kind of check in on you, see how everything is going, especially on your social media journey. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with your YouTube. We switched up the format of the show a little bit this week for you because I kind of wanted to give the audience really what they came here for. They came to get something, and that's really to understand more about you, what's making you successful in the current market, which is definitely heavily leaning on social media production and just kind of finding your own unique path in this real estate market, right?
Sure.
In this real estate industry for itself. So we moved the market update to the end. So we're going to do that right now, and then we'll go through a real estate article that I think is really going to be in alignment with what you're already doing as far as video goes. Okay. So guys, today is Tuesday, November the 7th, and it is afternoon now. The market is already closed. So we're going to run through, I'm going to give you the rates for this week. So 30-year fixed conventional is sitting at 7.46%. 15-year fixed national average is at 6.85%. 30-year jumbo, you're looking at 7.82%. FHA 30-year fixed is at 6.82 national average, and then 30-year VA is at 6.83. So from the last week's show, we definitely have seen a pretty nice market improvement. So is this the end? Is this going to be be signs of this slow downturn to lower rates as we progress through this year? It is an election cycle this year. There's a lot that is happening in the geopolitical landscape. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. We will keep you updated. As far as what is coming up for econ stuff, let's look at this week first. The biggest one is going to be jobless claims on Thursday. That'll come out at 5:30 in the morning. And then on next week, probably the biggest market mover that I can see for econ data will be on Tuesday, November the 14th. Mark this in your calendar. You have CPI report that is coming out for last month. Okay, so it'll be for the month of October. It's core consumer price index. So this has been a huge report for us really through the entire year. There have been many months where we were just waiting on this report to come out to see, hey, are rates going to improve on this day, or are they going to get worse because inflation is ticking up? So if we're looking at deflationary events where the core CPI is going to go down, guess what? Rates are going to improve. The bond market will probably respond favorably. So we'll definitely keep you posted on that, what happens next week. And then our article today. So pick this one for you, brother. I think that you're going to like this. This is from Housing Wire, and the headline of the article says, 13 video marketing best practices for your real estate business. Video is king for real estate marketing. Global statistics show that people watch videos on average of 100 minutes a day, which is crazy. That's almost 2 hours per day that your clients, your consumers, the people you're making your YouTube videos for that are actually watching the content, they're watching almost 2 hours every single day of video content on social media platforms. That's nuts. So let's dive in here. The very first thing that it says on here is to understand your audience. Your video marketing strategy starts with your audience. You wouldn't show the same scary movie to a 5-year-old child as you would a 25-year-old adult. Videos for your real estate business are no different. Watch videos on YouTube aimed at luxury homebuyers and compare them with the ones tailored to first-time homebuyers. Chances are good the script, the angles, and the highlighted features will be very different. Ask yourself, who am I selling to? What are their priorities? What do they need to know? And how can I meet their needs? Then create your videos accordingly. Next up is to tell a story. It's easy to click away from a boring video that rambles on and on without a point. To capture a viewer's attention, you need to tell a story about the property you're showing. The story might highlight the historical features of the home and explain how a starter home helped buyers build their lives together. Whatever it is, tell a tale that keeps them on your page. Just like an in-person walkthrough, viewers need to see themselves in the home to imagine how they will make it their own. I like that tip. That's a good one. Use better technology. If you are marketing a home with expansive grounds, beautiful architectural details, or gorgeous scenery, invest in a drone and learn how to use it properly. Drones capture details that regular photos cannot. They also reveal the scope of a large property and illustrate clearly where outbuildings and other landmarks lie in relation to the main house and the homes around it. I can attest to this. Getting a drone for like my media content, game changer, just because it adds such a different dynamic to the shots. Like being able to get so much more elevated on that entryway shot of that luxury property, or getting overhead shots of the backyard. It's nuts, man. Like
it definitely helps sell communities too. Because if you're showing like a really nice home and you're trying to tell people this is a great area of Vegas that you would want to consider, a drone shot is going to be able to show the community, because when you're above on a drone, because I have a drone myself, I haven't used it too much, but when you have a drone shot above all of the homes overlooking, like it's a very beautiful view of Vegas if you really look at it, because we're surrounded by all these different mountains, and if you look one way, you got the strip and everything over there, then you got all these different mountains. That view just elevates like a listing photo. Like if it was two listings, exact same house, and one had drone footage and one didn't, the one with drone footage is probably going to sell somebody more.
For sure. I have no doubt. And like getting like I said, landmarks. If there's a community park that's nearby that has like a dog park, to be able to get drone footage, aerial, like here's the dog park. If you have a dog, if you're a dog lover and you've been waiting to buy your first home because you want to have a backyard before you pick up that dog, this would be a great community for you, because you're not even a half a mile away from this particular park, and you can showcase that on your social, which is crazy. Exactly. The next step up, it says add virtual walkthroughs. Record and post virtual walkthroughs for potential buyers. Your written listing is easier to visualize if it's accompanied by a narrated walkthrough, especially if the viewer can move and turn in each room. Virtual tours can also highlight the exterior of the home, plus neighborhoods, features, and amenities. Have you used virtual walkthroughs a lot on listings? Is that like a huge thing? I know that they have like the Matterport now, where it's kind of like a 3D, 360 degree
you do
camera.
like the Matterports. Those are the standard. What agents usually use is a Matterport. That'll be able to show you, because you can just drag the mouse and kind of get a full 360 of whatever room that it's in.
Yeah. Do you think that those are more effective than actually doing like a walkthrough video on a video tour?
I think it's kind of it's unique, because I think with a Matterport, it can kind of show you distance between one wall to the other, whereas a photo, it's not going to really give you as accurate. Because if I'm taking a video, and I'm just going up panning a left to right, I don't really know how far the left wall is from the right wall. But with a Matterport, because it's piece by piece, you can kind of see exactly what that real distance is.
So you can get a better feel of where everything is spaced.
Spatial.
Yeah, that makes sense. It says the next step is to spend time in production. There's a time and a place for a quick Instagram reel, but in some cases, you'll need a beautifully produced video. Invest in good video equipment and spend time editing your footage. If it's in your budget, hire a professional videographer or purchase quality editing software. So you talked about this during the interview process when you were going through your current YouTube journey, where you don't do this, right? Like you don't waste 8 hours of your life editing your YouTube content.
I did one time. When I very first started YouTube, I was editing my very first video, and I was at the computer for like 7 hours that just single day.
Correct.
I looked at my fiance and I said, I'm done. I'm hiring somebody else to do this, because and I wasn't even a quarter of the way done with the video.
Yep.
And I was like, no.
I bet I can already see you right now at the computer. You were probably going back and forth between YouTube, how do I, and then back into your editing software to execute what the YouTube video is telling you. Got through that step, then went back to YouTube to be like, all right, next up, how do I do this?
Yeah,
back to the editing
I was using
software.
Adobe Premiere.
That's what I used to edit.
Yeah.
It's a beast, bro. It's just there's so much you can do inside of that platform for editing videos. Dude, one YouTube video that's maybe 15 minutes in length, that'll take me up to 10 hours to edit because I have to compose all of the shots. I got to, when we're filming it, I'm in my mind, I'm already laying out, all right, like this is how we're going to do the tour of this particular property. So I already know what shots I'm going to use in the edit, but it still takes time to put everything together in your timeline. It still takes time to do the lower thirds where when you first get onto the video and you introduce who you are and what the property is, I have to put that information on there somewhere, right? Like your name, your license number, what brokerage you're with. All of those things take time. Choosing the right track, the right audio track to edit to. So usually I'll coordinate with you and be like, hey, let's pick some music. Give me a couple of tracks that you really like. And then we'll use one of those because the last thing I want to do is edit all of my cuts to the music and then send it to you and you hate the audio track. Then I got to do everything over because if I'm changing out the song, it'll have totally different 808s. It'll have different, snare spots. It'll have different synths in it. And then all of the edits are now, they're not on beat. They're off beat. So I got to change everything.
Yeah. I think we talked about this like the other day when we were shooting, when I was like, when you're running like whatever business that you're running, you have to make a conscious decision on what I can do and who I need to pay somebody to do.
Yep.
Once you figure that balance out, your business is going to be so much more smoother because you're not going to be wasting time on stuff that you can have someone else do. Like,
correct.
If you don't want to edit videos, you need to hire an editor.
Correct.
It's an easy fix.
Yeah. I don't want to do account management. So what did I do? I hired an account manager, and the account manager handles the account management for my clients because I don't want to do that, bro. I don't even really want to be in my social media posting all that much, but I do it because it's part of my brand, right? I'm building a brand, so I have to do it. But if a client pays me and they want to have account management, bro, I don't want to be in like 4 of their social media platforms posting and like interacting with a whole bunch of people for their business. So I would rather hire someone else to do that.
Yeah, account management it's a lot of work. I manage one account out here in Vegas. That's it, and that's all I want. I don't want any more. That's all I got enough time for. But I do one food account out here. I do this African restaurant out here called Calabash African Kitchen.
Bro, your post from there, God, what is that dish that they have? It looks like chicken with like an orange kind of gravy over rice.
Oh, it's their peanut butter stew.
Bro, that looks so good.
It's bomb.
Let me know when you want to go. I'm down.
Bomb.
The next one up says choose an appropriate length. Whether you're posting drone tours, virtual walkthroughs, or TikTok videos, size matters. In many cases, home buyers want to see short clips, not a 15-minute video. If each room in a listing deserves 15 minutes of fame, break it up into shorter clips. Aim for 2-minute clips, especially on Instagram and TikTok, and try not to exceed 5 minutes. What do you think about that?
Don't really agree with it because it depends on what platform you're using. If you're using YouTube, you need to be 10 minutes or more. If you're using TikTok, you should be at probably closer towards a minute because you start having more monetization features when you're at like the minute. And then on Instagram,
a minute or less on TikTok?
A minute or more. Yeah, TikTok, you want to be more longer because TikTok has changed so much. Those 15, 10-second videos don't really do as well as they used to. They used to like go crazy, but now TikTok is trying to move a little bit longer on their format. So it just really depends on what platform you're using. You can't use the same strategy on Instagram, on TikTok, or on YouTube. Every platform is a different strategy. So you have to make sure that you understand what the platform wants so that you can deliver.
Yeah, that makes sense. Next one up, it says utilize SEO. For those of you that don't know, that stands for search engine optimization best practices. Search engine optimization, which determines where a website appears on the search results page of Google, is critical in the age of video. Most organic search results list the top 3 links as videos, and you want to be as close to the top of that list as possible. On YouTube, this means 1, adding keywords in the title and description of the videos. Your team helps you with that. Naming your video with keywords, tagging topics relevant to your video, and customizing a thumbnail. Captioning videos on Instagram and TikTok is also helpful, as is using relevant hashtags in the optimized comments section of your videos. You do SEO on your stuff too, right?
So on YouTube, I don't do anything SEO related, but I would say my videos are doing pretty good. So I think my team's doing a great job.
Yeah.
But on Instagram, I do maximize like SEO because like the bio, I talked about that a little bit earlier. The bio is search engine. Like when I literally just got a client in contract for a new build who found me on Instagram by typing in Las Vegas Realtor.
Wow.
So she typed it in. I guess I was one of the first few people that popped up. She clicked on my page. She called me, and she was in contract with a builder. But as you know, if the agent's not with the client when they go on the first trip, the builder's not going to pay you.
Nope.
So I told her, I said, hey, the only way I can actually help you is you got to get out of that contract with the builder, and then we can go look for other homes. So she got her earnest money back, called me and said, hey, I'm ready to move forward. She signed my BBA. And
damn. So this lady
Yep.
literally canceled her contract with this new build developer
Yep.
just so she could work with you.
Yep.
And that was all through the power of social media.
All through social media. She told me she typed in Las Vegas Realtor, and she clicked on my page, and she booked a meeting with me.
That's crazy.
And she ended up buying a quick move-in home, and she's closing in like 3 weeks.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's a crazy story, man. Like for just a random client to be like, I'm in contract, but I will gladly cancel this contract if I can get my EMD back, and then I'll work with you.
Yeah. And
So,
the EMD was like $5,000.
That's amazing.
And the funny thing was, when that happened, I was like, do we need to wait to get the EMD back?
Yeah.
She was like, no, I'll wait on that later, but I'm ready to go.
Damn. That's
I was
amazing.
like, let's go.
So there's a few more ones on here. I'm just going to say what the headlines are instead of just reading them so we can wrap up here. Optimize for mobile is one.
Yep.
Don't forget a call to action.
Very important.
Share across platforms.
Yes.
Engage with your viewers.
Yes.
Analyze and improve.
Make sure you respond to comments, guys.
Yep. Analyze and improve. And then the last one, which I think is the most important, keep posting.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts
Keep
on those last
posting.
ones?
Engaging, that's very important. Make sure you guys are responding to comments. Like for me, if I have a video that does very well, I'll probably respond to comments for the first like 48 hours. But after that, I'm not going to really, because after the first like 2 days, there's nothing good that comes out of comments. People are either talking good or they're talking bad. But all the people who really wanted to engage with you, they've already did their engaging in the first 48 hours.
That totally makes sense.
So that, and then as far as being searchable, definitely making sure that your bios and all that stuff is good and ready to go.
Do you ever Google search yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
What comes up first? Is it your LinkedIn or is it something from your socials?
For me, my Instagram usually comes up because that's the platform that I have the biggest following on.
Yeah. So that's a way that you guys can check and see kind of like where you're ranking on your Google. Just go on Google and then Google search yourself. Yeah. See what comes up. Oftentimes, most people, it's going to be their LinkedIn profile if they're active on LinkedIn, which is great because it's a rapidly growing business platform. I think that LinkedIn, in my opinion, has definitely started to evolve. It's kind of moving into like this Facebook, Instagram space.
I need to get back on LinkedIn. Like I have a lot of business connections on LinkedIn, but I just don't be on that platform like that.
Yeah, and then I would definitely recommend anybody that's listening. My coach really put me onto this is maxing out your connections every week. Every single week, your connections reset as far as who you can connect with on LinkedIn. And you'd be surprised. There's a lot that you can connect with in a single week before the platform says, all right, you've hit your max for this week.
Stop befriending too many people.
Yep. But you can, their search platform, like how you can filter people on there to look for your connections is impressive. There's so many different categories that you can filter down to if you're targeting. Like let's say you wanted to work with just doctors that lived in the Bay Area that you could target to see if they wanted to relocate here to Las Vegas or something like that. You could filter all of those parameters, and then the people that'll populate that you can connect with are going to be just within those parameters. Doctors in that city, usually very high net worth, and then you can start connecting with them there. Meanwhile, you can also post now in general on your LinkedIn something that is doctor related for relocation.
Can you do videos on LinkedIn?
Yep.
So like if I take an Instagram reel, can I post it on LinkedIn?
100%.
Oh, I might have to start repurposing.
Yeah, we just talked about that too, is just sharing across platforms. So that'd be a way that you could take a piece of content that you created that's pretty target specific to an audience, and then finding that audience on LinkedIn, connecting with a bunch of them, and then reposting that video after you have all of these new connections.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then I think the last thing on your list was
keep posting. Yep.
And I post every day. Like, it's just secondhand nature. I got a time in my head. Like, I know at 10 a.m. I'm posting. And then on the weekends, I think I post at like 3.
When you post on your story, does that count as one of your posts?
No. When I say post, I mean like an actual reel on my
reel,
page. Yeah.
not an image post, not a market update,
No.
not an infographic.
Because for me, I was trying to grow my platform as quick as possible, and the quickest way to grow your platform is getting your content in front of people who don't already follow you, and the people who don't already follow you are going to be on Reels.
Yep. So I tell people this all the time. They don't really know that your story posts are for people that you're already connected with, because those are the people that are already in your circle. They're the ones that are going to see your story. And then your Reels that you create, that's how you get new people into your page, new audience
100%.
members, new people to follow.
Think about it. When you go out and meet somebody at a networking event, are you asking for their number or their social media? Most of the time, it's their social media.
Well, I do, but that's just because how I connect with people now. Like
for me, like when I go out, if I meet someone, I'm not asking for your number. Like I'm gonna ask you for your social media.
Another thing too that I like to do because of the social media, because we're posting pretty consistently, I'll do what you're saying, where I'm saying, hey, let's connect on Instagram, because I want them to visually see my Instagram page and say, oh, look at all these videos that he posts about real estate related stuff, or all of his content. He's really active on here. So that ties into that whole know, like, and trust. So they're meeting me. So now they know me. They're deciding in that conversation if they like me as a person. And then I'm showing them my social media platform so that they can trust that I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're gonna build that trust once they go to your page. And that's really like the power of like social media. Like social media really can transform how you present your business to a mass audience without even being in front of that mass audience. Like I have a large following, but that doesn't mean I talk to all these people every single day, but I do talk to them. I talk to them through my videos.
Well, brother, I really appreciate you coming in today and being on the show. I've been wanting to get you in the podcast studio like this for a minute. So I'm excited to see where your growth is going to take you through this next year, especially through YouTube. So I'll definitely have you back on later in the year, and we can talk about how that is progressing and how everything is going.
Appreciate it. Would love to be back, talk more about, all the stuff that I'm good at and just figure out how I can give value. That's really, because I feel like I can't take none of this with me to the grave, so I got to give it away to somebody.
I love that, because a lot of people will gatekeep, where they're like, I found something that works for me. I'm not going to share any of this information with anybody else. But yeah, man, givers gain the most, right? So
absolutely. It's a good book, Go Giver.
Go Giver.
You guys haven't checked out that book? It's a book called Go Giver. I forgot the author, but it's a really good book.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's going to do it for this week's episode of The Mortgage Mindset. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, checking us out. Before we let Chris go, where can people connect with you?
You guys can connect with me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok under the handle at C as in cat, B as in boy, .Las Vegas.
CB.Las Vegas across all social media platforms. Definitely connect with him. Instagram, he does a ton of food blogs, a lot of restaurant highlight videos that are actually really well done. I promise you, when you watch them, you're going to be like, damn, I'm hungry now. I want to go check out this restaurant, Court Cafe. We got to do brunch there. Yes. So we'll line that up. Yeah. Shout out to Court Cafe. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.